Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here with the legend. Woo! Beautiful Laura Styles, wrestling shirt, Rosenberg, and the Don. Kool G Rap.
The return of the Don.
He's here.
Yeah.
Left Rack City Zone. We've never had a sit down.
Corona
before.
and Left Rack.
Corona and Left. So,
Yeah.
never had a conversation with you, but I always wanted to know that your rap style. When you came with your rap style,
Right.
who were your influences? I've never really heard you speak on that.
You know, it was a combination of cats. You could say my grassroots, like very, very beginning influences was Melly Mel, Mo D, Grandmaster Caz, those cats from that time. And then I became a fan of like LL Cool J. I was a fan of Slick Rick, Dougie. You know what I mean? And
Rakim.
of course, Rakim. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so you could say all those dudes plays maybe some sort of part and what G Rap would shape itself to become. You know what I mean? I would take a little bit of all that, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the music. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, but the main influences was like Melly Mel, Mo D, Grandmaster Caz, my boy Silver Fox, from Fantasy 3 and all that. You know what I mean? But yeah, those was the dudes.
I always found
put the battery in my back.
I always found it interesting, though, and when I interviewed Rakim a few months ago, I said the thing that blew my mind about him was that your guys' influences were so different than what you became.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, all due respect to the legends who created the culture, but from an MC standpoint, you know what I'm saying? It's the exact same thing I said last week about how Bob Cousy said every 10-year-old could dribble like Bob Cousy.
Right.
Every 10-year-old who could rap now is like, I could get a flow like the really old school back in the day flow. You guys, you still couldn't mess around and rap like G Rap and Kane. You know what I mean? You guys elevated it. So like, how were you inspired to do that? To be like, man, I can do even more with my voice and my vocabulary than's ever been done before.
I mean, I don't even think it was so much as a thing like where I'm already seeing what I could do ahead of time. I think every time it was just a challenge of just pushing the envelope even further and further. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I sit down to attack a verse or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It was always a challenge, you know what I'm saying, to keep extending myself and go further. You know what I'm saying? I did that with Men at Work and then had to do it again with Kool is Back. You know what I mean? I don't think I knew ahead of time, like, all right, it's going to come out exactly this crazy. You know, a lot of times I surprise myself and entertain myself. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the fun part about the game. You know what I'm saying? You keep entertaining yourself.
Did it have anything to do with being a part of the Juice Crew and just having other MCs just like y'all pushing, like, the company you keep can, sharpen you?
Absolutely. I mean, of course there was always like a silent competition between me and Kane. You know what I'm saying? We was the two, like rappers in the Juice Crew that really focused on lyricism, flows and being metaphoric and things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying like a rapper like Shan ain't never do it, but that was our main focal point with me and Kane. And you could tell in our material.
Right.
You know what I'm
Even
saying?
on that, what is it? The raw demo that you
Right.
guys go back and forth on?
Right, exactly.
And you can tell that you guys are each trying to, elevate. What changed for you and led you to being sort of more of the quote unquote gangster rapper that you became? Because like there is, when you think about almost two eras of G Rap, of like early on you were super lyrical and there was some hard shit thrown in there, but it wasn't the blood, money, murder, chaos.
Yeah, at a certain
that
point,
you got
it was
into,
straight
right?
gunblades.
It wasn't. I would develop into that. I think my life took a turn. You know what I'm saying? And like more of that element started to become around me. You know what I'm saying? Even more so than when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So you got glimpses of G Rap on that hard street vibe, like you were saying, with like Rikers Island. You know what I'm saying? Road to the Riches. You know what I mean? But it would go more in detail in that direction. You know what I'm saying? Like as the years went on. You know what I'm saying?
Did your life changing and your notoriety changing bring people around you that kind of forced you
Absolutely.
to... Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was meeting all kind of cats, you know what I'm saying? And
Motherfuckers
then
trying to take
relationships.
advantage and
Yeah.
pressing you and et cetera, et
Oh,
cetera.
no. It wasn't shit
like
like
that.
that going down. Nah.
Yeah.
Just now.
It wasn't shit like that going down.
Right.
It was more just the people who wanted to be around being people who were of that
Yeah,
world.
right.
And so creatively it takes you to a place.
It brought more people of that world around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, fame and notoriety is going to do that.
So like all of a sudden the gangsters, the drug dealers, the people who spend money want to be around the hot artists too.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. And I think we talked about this when you did the podcast. But you know, there were songs in which you were clearly making a fantasy song, right? On the Run, I'm guessing, was a fantasy song, right? You're telling an amazing story.
It was G Rap being creative.
It's you being creative. And we all loved it. And I never for 1 second thought that you had left your life as a rapper to become a full-time kingpin who was flying through the streets with machine guns. And we all loved it. Yet it seems like now we held, like, for example, an artist who showed a lot of love to you, Rosé. People all hated on Ross for sort of having a character. And I never really understood. I thought it was a double standard because I thought our artists did that and kind of got away with it.
The generations changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think in my generation, like, cats accepted creativity for just creativity. You know what I'm saying? But then eventually it changed down the line. Like the newer generations, they wanted artists to live out all their lyrics. You know what I'm saying? When I don't think artists should do that. Period. I wouldn't have wanted to see Biggie live out all his lyrics, or Tupac. And why they put that pressure on rappers? Why they don't put that pressure on like Al Pacino and all them? Like, yo, go shoot up a whole squad of people and all that.
Right.
And
Yo, you think
do
you're so
the
tough
Scarface
with
thing
Gino?
for
But
real.
I think in some of it though, the nuance there was I didn't believe Kool G Rap was actually doing that, right? Because we was always taught like the real, if he was really doing that, he wouldn't be rapping about
Of
it.
course. But you knew he was cut from a certain
Well,
cloth.
you knew if he had to take other options, he was capable.
Right,
I think was
right.
really the conversation at the time. It was like, that's possible.
Right. But I think people also get upset because they feel like some artists that, rap about certain things and be like, there's no way in hell that he's doing half of the shit that he's talking about.
You know, it's interesting. Something dawned on me when you just said that, Laura Styles. It may, and to your point, G Rap, it may have happened in the 90s, right?
Right.
And thinking about what you was just saying about, the people who do live that life and was getting money,
Right.
they're hanging around the hot artists.
Right.
And the hot artist is getting the girls and having money too, but not and rapping about a life that they're not necessarily choosing to live. They've choose to do something else to get money.
Right.
I feel like in the 90s was when that shift happened. Somewhere 95, 96, Pac, Biggie, and all that.
I agree.
Because there was a lot of extortion happening, right? Because money went to an all-time high in
Different
the 90s
level.
in rap.
Right.
Like, people was one demo getting $10 million deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
There
it
was
was
money out there.
crazy money.
Right.
And I think the people who were living that life began to really press the artists, and then people was like, oh, he talking about shit he don't live about. Or, he doesn't live.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where that...
Whereas back then, when G-Rap started, they realized that they were artists and they just wanted to be near them as artists. Like, y'all
it
do
was
you,
fun, everybody.
we do us.
And matter of fact,
That's
take
what
a
it's
step
called,
further.
being a recording artist.
Right.
You know,
And let's
like,
take it a step further. The
don't lose sight
OGs,
of
when I
that.
grew up in the late 80s and when I was 12, 13 and was listening to the music, they didn't want you to choose the life that they was living. The point was for you to
Exactly.
get money a different way.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
think that things changed in the 90s somehow.
No,
Because the money probably
I
got
agree.
too big. The money got
Money
so
got
big.
too big. And then it became like a gap between generations. You know what I'm saying? Like the younger cats wasn't as linked to their OGs no more. As opposed to my era. We was very, very linked to our OGs, respected the elderly. If you fighting with somebody and their mother walk past, you're gonna stop. You're gonna put the beer bottles behind your back and the reefers and all that. You know what I mean? But that was lost somewhere. And probably crack did that.
Yeah.
That's man playing a part
And
too.
OGs going to jail and not having grown men in neighborhoods anymore.
You're right. Absolutely. A combination of all that.
What's it? Are you ever able to like take in the fact that hip hop has gotten to be this global thing, and you are the one of the biggest influences for the biggest influences.
Hove, Nas.
Hove, Nas, Pun, like these guys who absolutely idolized you, and now are just cultural icons. Are you able to stop and appreciate it and smell the flowers and be like, it's pretty cool that that's the case? Or is there some sense of, I mean, obviously you meet two kinds of legends. There are legends who are like, yo, I'm just happy that it happened and I still get to make records. You have a new album, Return of the Don, coming out June 2nd. You're still making money on the road. And there's some people who are bitter and are like, man, it sucks that people out here get to be millionaires, billionaires practically, on the groundwork we laid. Where do you fit in that conversation?
I'm not bitter about nothing. You know what I mean? If my whole purpose was to put the battery in the backs of others, and maybe this was bigger than me. Maybe it wasn't about G-Rap life propelling to 100 levels up. Maybe it was about spreading it. You know what I mean? And giving this person a chance and an opportunity to change their life. You know what I'm saying? For them to get off the block. You know what I'm saying? It might have been a purpose bigger than me.
What of the guys who you were super influential on, the Nas's and the Puns, who did you get to have the biggest relationship with and work with the most?
Probably Nas, because it went to it was more than just us doing the record together. It was me actually shopping Nas at one point, and trying to get him a situation. I actually introduced him to Search, which started his whole jump off. You know what I mean?
So you and Nas went back pretty deep. So how did you hear about Nas?
Through Lost Professor. You know what I mean? My man Paul.
So Paul tells you there's this kid that's crazy, and you went over and listened?
Yeah, well, we just happened to link some other time down the line. I can't even remember the very, very first time that me and Nas linked, because it became repetitious after a while. You know what I'm saying? He would come to my house and I would record demos on him and gather songs on them and things of that nature. So I can't even tell you the very, very first time. It might have been in one of my studio sessions.
So by the time we got to hear Fast Life Remix, right, which is the big Nas G Rap record in 95, 96, by that point you guys had already had a relationship for years.
Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure if it was years, so to speak, but
well, it had to
maybe
be
a while.
Or it had to be
maybe
4
a
or
couple.
5.
Yeah, because it was that song didn't come out till after Omatic.
Right.
So it's
Right.
So I know it probably for you blends together, but as a DJ nerd, let me tell you, that song, and you guys may have recorded that earlier, but it didn't come out until like 95. And Nas had already been out. His album came out in 94.
Like a year before, yeah.
You know what I'd like to know? Were you working and helping Nas record early demos? Was he at ever a stage where did he already have his rhyme perspective and pattern and flow and pocket?
Yeah.
Or did G-Rap have to go a little bit less of this, more
I
of
didn't
that?
have to coach him in no kind of way. He was just raw talent that just came out perfect. You know what I mean?
Wow. Well, there's a great opportunity there, G-Rap, for you to take credit, and you literally did not take it at all. You're saying he literally,
because I keep it 100.
He was just, he was perfect. Like he came out, he was
perfect.
Nas.
Yeah, he was perfect raw talent. You know what I mean? And that's how he came out.
Wow.
Because the reason why I say that is because you heard Nas develop, like from Illmatic to his second album, flow-wise and things of that nature. It's like he progressed to a whole different level. Not saying that the songs on Illmatic wasn't classical, masterpieces, but flow-wise and more technicalities, he went to a totally different level.
Are you listening to any guys right now? Are there any young artists that you listen to for lyrics and enjoy?
Nobody that I'm deeply into like that.
He's really just trying to ask you if you're a fan of Kendrick Lamar.
Of course.
Woo! I love you, Laura Styles.
is.
I want to know Kendrick Cole, if any of those guys.
I never really heard enough on Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? To really form an opinion like that. But I did hear something recently. And this with a video he got with Don Cheadle.
Oh yeah.
I thought he caught a body on that.
Yeah.
DNA, that's the
Yeah.
DNA.
That's the
joint.
DNA video.
Yeah, he went crazy on that. I gotta give boy his props.
Yeah, I would like you. I would love Dan. I'm gonna put you in charge of that. I would love for you to hear the entire Kendrick album and hear what G Rap thinks about it. Because, I've been catching a little, not hell, but we've been having an interesting conversation about, me really trying to hold the flag of pushing him into the greats conversation, because I think we got to keep adding. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that if we don't champion,
Culture can't be stagnant.
culture can't be stagnant. You know what I'm saying? And it
course not.
doesn't mean you have to push out everyone. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have to push out anybody.
You don't have to push out anyone. Exactly. The lexicon can just get bigger and bigger and bigger. You got to work with, though, over the years, you had Pun Records.
Right.
There's MOP Records.
MOP. Mobb Deep.
Mobb Deep Records, of course. Many
Had to be those.
Mobb Deep Records. What sticks out as your favorites? The collaborations that you got to do.
Oh man, it's a toss up between the collaborations with MOP and Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? Stick to Your Guns was crazy.
Yep.
And then The Realest is crazy. You know what I mean?
Really.
Man.
And those are just a couple. Those are just one that I did with those guys. One apiece. I done maybe 2 to 3 with Mobb Deep, and the same with MOP. As you see, Fame is on this new single.
Right, exactly, right now. So tell us about this new album, by the way. Who's on it?
Return of the Don.
Tell us about this.
Man, we got my man Fred the Godson, we got Sheik Luch, we got Conway the Machine, Westside Gun.
Both on there.
Both.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Both
I saw
on there.
Nori on there too.
Nori's my boy. Nori's on
Queens.
there. Absolutely. My boy Ray.
The chef.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You know what? I'm sitting here thinking, too, because as a fan of Mobb Deep, as a fan of Kool G Rap, and we've had this discussion up here where I've actually been, the one that is asking rappers with their level of gun talk and fantasy in their music, like, yo, is that really your life? Like, what's real and what's not, right?
Right.
And as we just had that conversation a second ago, I have to check myself.
Why?
Because I've fallen into that, right? And I think it's because I'm frustrated and have been for many years by the number of people who front and lie about their life. In real life, not in music life, in real life.
Social media, the whole thing.
Social media and all. So then when a rapper comes along talking a bunch of gun talk, right? And I know what's really going on out here,
Right.
it frustrates me because I'm like, damn, you're making the situation worse for a lot of people who don't know the difference, because now hip-hop is so mass appeal. It's so big, right? Is that making sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's
And I don't. And part
The
of me
impact's
wants to
bigger.
apologize. I want to apologize for artists that are just making rap songs and trying to tell stories, whether they be first person or things they've seen in their neighborhood or family members that went through things or whatever, and they're just trying to express themselves.
Sure.
I want to apologize to you, because on the other side, the reason I'm being critical is because there's so much fake, phony bullshit happening that
Right.
I'm holding you accountable for shit that's not your fault. Does that
right.
make
You're
sense?
just making art. You're just making music.
You're just trying to make music.
And we put that pressure on this community, hip hop community.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't put that pressure on the film industry.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We keep it contained here. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you want to push cats in this industry to go out and do dumb shit, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a whole bunch of other Tupac situations and Biggie situations.
And maybe that's my fear. Maybe that's my fear deep down, is because I lived through that. And I
Right.
saw what a major setback that was
Well-
to the entire culture and everyone's ability to create.
But keep in mind,
grow.
when that happened and when that got really bad was right at the time when hip-hop got really huge.
It was massive.
Meaning, so egos were getting bruised publicly. Everything's bigger. Like, we would probably feel differently if a mainstream, really huge artist came out with a song called Stick to Your Guns that was straight up gun talk the whole song. I probably would feel differently about it than I did about in 1994 when it's G Rap and MOP making some underground
And it was
record.
just for us.
That was for it was
Right.
for hip hop. It didn't feel like everyone's getting exposed to this. It's influencing everyone. It felt like, nah, if you're a real hardcore hip hop fan, you are participating in this art form and you get it. But now it does feel different, you know what I mean? And that brand people try to represent, instead of it just being like, I make a song and talk about stuff, they're out here showing they have a gun and money on Instagram, trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the
Maybe,
lines are
yeah.
blurrier, and I understand why you're in
Well,
between.
because on Instagram you're actually showing weapons that you know they're probably not yours, but like to what G Rap said, he's like, yo, why is it that, what if that's their fantasy of the character that they want to play?
Right. And
Yeah.
we all
See, but we
Absolutely.
get mad because we come from a generation where it's like I said, our artists are cut from a certain cloth. These new ones, you know that there's no way in hell that they're gang banging or whatever they claim to do.
Did you
So it's blurry. I
in
think it's super blurry.
in the 80s and early 90s when the money started coming in, did you see, were there artists out there getting pressed and having people try to extort them? Did that was that a thing yet in like the late 80s, early 90s or not?
I mean, I'm sure there was cases of that. I didn't hear about.
Like no one came to you like, hey, help me, I'm in a bad spot. Like that you didn't have to experience that.
Nah, not really. Nah, I didn't. What you talking about from other artists?
Yeah, like anyone like that you heard
Nah.
about from other people.
I ain't rock out with everybody anyway. You know what I'm saying? I have very limited people I dealt with, especially in this industry. You know what I mean? I dealt with my crew, you know, like Shan, Kane, Biz, but and I had good rapport with other artists. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, but as far as like real buddy and all that, I didn't really get like that with a lot of cats. You know what I mean? So I didn't really get none of that. My direction.
Do you remember who the last new artist was that you were like really into, or as an artist, did you never spend that much time listening to stuff?
What? I was a big fan of Ghetto Boys and WA, Slick Rick. You know what I'm saying?
What about
just
like
to name
Wu-Tang?
a few. Absolutely.
You were rocking through that era too.
Oh,
Biggie
yeah.
as well.
I thought they were phenomenal. All of them. Wu-Tang, Biggie.
Were you a Pac fan?
You know what? I was some things I was crazy about that Pac did, and some things to me was okay. It's I appreciate it for what it was worth. A good record. You know what I'm saying? To me, Pac was he was a phenomenal artist. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me if he was the best rapper ever, I probably wouldn't place him in that category, but not in a disrespectful manner.
Just that's not what he was attempting to be to you.
Exactly. To me, Pac was bigger than being a king of lyricism. You know what I'm saying? Pac was like a statement for the times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how I seen dude. Pac was a movement within itself, all contained in itself. So to me, Pac was bigger than just being a crazy lyricist. He affected and touched so many people. It just so happens that G Rap is a lyricist. So one of the things I key in on is lyricism. You know what I mean? So just by me saying Pac ain't registered to me as the illest rapper ever, that means nothing to what this man did, his legacy.
Yeah, we've been recently having a big convo about the difference between being the best at rapping and a great rap artist.
Touches people.
Right, or
You know what I'm
with
saying?
huge
Like-
cultural impact.
Right,
Like,
because when you get in, like as you pointed out, we've been having that debate a long time, and you have to. I guess in some ways you got to be in it maybe to understand the nuance, or because there's Pac fans who obviously get offended by that conversation. What do you mean he's not the best rapper? Well, he's not the best at rapping.
To me, right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Lyrically.
But he's one of the greatest artists
Absolutely.
ever to have lived.
Yeah.
right.
People have a
Like
tough
like
time with
Elvis.
that.
Right.
Right.
Huge.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And people, I mean, look, man, people praise Pac. That speaks to how great he was.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, I know people get real emotional when you make those statements about Pac.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but when you talking rap, look, man, it's hip hop, man. We got to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen, I have no problem saying that I think that Biggie was the better MC and lyricist, and Tupac was the one who affected people's lives more.
Exactly.
That's totally that's what it was. Biggie didn't.
I don't even think you can compare them.
You can't.
I don't
Biggie
think they are the
Right.
same at all.
Biggie didn't
You're
tackle the issue. They didn't tackle the same things at all.
No.
Like Biggie had songs like G Rap. Biggie had G Rap records that were like straight up fantasy, sort of like he's telling a whole story. Give Me the Loot, where
Right.
he's telling a story with multiple characters. He rapped a lot about the floss and all that. It was just a totally different
Were
conversation.
you and what was the relationship with you and B.I.G.?
I never met him.
Wow,
met him.
never
Never
did.
met him. Yeah, never met him.
Did
I
you
met
ever meet
many
Pac?
people. I met Pac. I met Pac.
Pac's
in,
first album was for what year? 92?
90, 91?
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you remember meeting Pac? Where it was?
I met Pac in L.A. I was out there working on my album, and we ended up in the same studio. and it was the day of the Rodney King verdict.
Whoa.
Oh.
And shit just went pandemonium as soon as we left the studio. No, we didn't even go to the studio together. We was in the same studio, but we ended up bouncing together because I knew Jinx, he knew Jinx. So when we rolled out together, and then we got back into like the central area, like LA and all that, and it was just pandemonium out of nowhere.
Wow,
No,
people was just in
Yeah,
the street.
LA riots. Whoosh.
Yeah, huh?
People was in the street.
Oh, masses of people was in the street, just going nuts, crazy. I mean, I never witnessed nothing like that. You know what I mean? I only seen it in documentaries and shit like that. But
Yeah,
That's crazy.
What's a day like for Kool G Rap today? Because I know you got your family, you got everything. Like, do you live in the tri-state area?
Nah, I'm in PA right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in PA. But a regular day for G Rap is if I'm not working, like on a collaboration or writing for maybe a project of my own, if I ain't doing none of that, I'm
Chilling.
digging for information.
Right.
I'm on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I study things. You know what I mean? I like studying history. I like one time I was studying as much as I could about all the religions. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
when you get to my age, you pursue different things, and wisdom is like top of the list for me. You know
How do you feel about what you're witnessing or what we're all witnessing now with our current political situation with Trump and this whole shit?
I mean, I don't really sway one way or the other with that. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's like they get you to focus on these sock puppets like Hillary and Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? But the real shot callers is obviously not the people in front of you. You know what I'm saying? But they get us the bickering and focusing on that, and then the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again. And I mean, for you to keep repeating those same steps, I'm talking about the masses of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like insanity.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah, that was a quote of somebody's too.
Yeah.
Like insanity's doing the same thing, but and receiving the same results or something like that.
Yeah.
Continuously. Yeah.
G Rap, Return of the Don. What's the date again?
June 2nd?
June 2nd.
Yo, I feel like, we got G Rap here. This is not going to happen anytime soon, guys. Is there anything we missed? Because I feel like, we covered a lot of ground.
I know. But you know what? I'm curious because I love to hear personal stories. Can you talk about you in the studio with Pun? Just your own personal experiences with Pun?
You know what? When I did that record with Pun, we wasn't actually in the studio at that time. I think that was at a time. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's when Pun went on his retreat. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
and was trying to get back to health again.
Right.
And things of that nature, but the recording was already
But
done.
you met him in life, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I met him before that.
Did he rhyme for you in person, or did he
In
just
person-
dap you up and tell you he was a fan?
Pun got down on one knee, kissed my ring when I
Oh,
first met him.
that's
know
what he
what I
did,
mean?
literally?
Yeah, literally.
So tell us that story. Tell us that part.
I mean, it was in the Bronx. It was in Fat Joe's store, and I came in there to see Fat Joe, and because me and Fat Joe, we go back too. That's my peoples. So I went there to check Joe, and that was the first time he introduced me to Pun. He was like, "Yo, G, I want you to meet," and Pun just, he was just like blown away that I walked in the store. I'm standing right there. I mean, this is his reaction, and then he just got down on one knee and kissed my ring and all that, and just, you know what I'm saying, and just, expressed like, "Yo, G, that's how I feel about you, yo. Like, you don't understand the influence and the impact you had on me." You know what I mean? I was just blown away by that. You know what I'm saying? Because he is an obviously real
Yeah.
thorough dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Humble dude, though. Great
Wow.
guy, man. He's great,
Oh, yeah.
funny, great guy.
Were you
Absolutely.
How impressed were you with him as an MC?
Very, very. I was very impressed by Pun.
I think he was basically as good as it could get. I mean, for
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Pun was he's one of the greats to me. Even though we didn't get enough of Pun, you know what I'm saying? To me, in that short span of time, he still did enough for you to know he was a serious lyricist.
yeah, I think so too. It
Yeah.
was only 2 albums. You know, it's funny. My friend who's not even that into rap anymore since he's not close with me. He's more of a rock guy. My best friend, he texted me the other day. He goes, I think Yeah Baby might be the greatest rap album of all time. And I was like, really? Random text. Why do you say hot take? Why do you say that? And he's like, not because they're the best song, like every song is the best song. He was like, because I just listened to it again all these years later, and I never wanted to hit fast forward through 1 second. Like, because Yeah Baby is not as good as Capital Punishment lyrically, but as far as enjoyable songs go,
But he went for the songs.
he went for the songs on that one, and it's so good. Like Pun's short body of work is so, and his features were so good too.
Absolutely.
And he managed to get hits during that time. And again, Pun's a guy who we added. You know, Pun guy. We're always easier to add people to the lexicon after they die, though. You know, that's what everyone does.
Yeah, Pun didn't get his props till after he passed.
Not people thought he was dope. But when he died, was like, oh, he's an all-time great.
Next level, yeah.
You know, it's Big L, same thing. Oh, he's you know, and I still didn't think that Big L had even made it to where he was going to get yet. And people were like, oh, well, Big L, where do you consider Big L? And I'm like, well, I consider Big L an amazing all-time artist. But to me, L hadn't even gotten to make his classic album yet. Like, his album was cool, but Big L didn't have a Capital Punishment.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That first album, we could rewrite history and be like, oh, that album everyone loved. A lot of people looked over the first Big L album, and the rumors started, oh, he's going to sign with Jay-Z. He's going to become the biggest artist, but it hadn't happened yet. And death changes things.
G-Rap, question in when you're recording. When you were recording early on with DJ Polo and you guys was doing your things and y'all was your group.
Right.
Would you walk into the studio and pick beats and create from just, I heard this beat and create from that? Or did you work with a producer who you wrote your lyrics, they cooked the beat to match? Like, what's the process for you?
I mean, when I first did it, Road to the Riches, first album, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do as far as production-wise, everything. I used to come in, bring the records to Marley. Like, yo, I want to use this, and I want you to put this loop over that loop, put this guitar in here, and then, yeah, that's how I did Road to the Riches that way. Men at Work, Truly Yours. I was coming in with my records. I had a vision of what I wanted to do.
And was that just what you wanted, or was that a standard for artists in that time?
No, because there was only certain Juice Crew members. No, I'm gonna say Juice Crew because that's who I knew.
Yeah.
I was around them. You know what I'm saying? But there was certain Juice Crew members that did that, like Kane. Kane did the same thing. Biz did the same thing. They and Marley would do like overall production for like Shan, Shantae, and those artists. Like they would just go to him and just let him
do everything.
Producer.
Whereas in your case, you guys would almost co-produce, but he'd be the hands-on.
We were co-producing.
You were co-producing.
We were that's co-production.
And he had the hands-on part, and he was just the master of making
he was
it sound
operating the machinery and all that. Because I didn't know how to do all that then.
And he didn't have an ego about like you being like, hey, I want this sample. He would just
because he liked the ideas. I'll speak for myself. He loved the ideas I was coming with.
So he was like, no problem, let's keep going.
Yeah. It never went sour. Like I never told him like, yo, let's go this direction. I want to use this, that, and the third. And then we put it together and be like, yo, no, I don't know, G, they ain't really hitting. You know what I'm saying? It always came out fire.
Live and Let Die, you started getting away from Marley, right?
Even Wanted Dead or Alive, the second album.
But the second album already,
So Large Pro.
So why did you start going on to Large Pro and other producers and getting away from Marley?
I think it just the whole Juice Crew thing and all that just began to lose its strength and begin to dissipate like little by little. And it wasn't so much I did that not to work with Marley. I was just blown away by what Paul was doing at the time. You know what I'm saying? With Main Source, I heard they tracks and I'm like, yo, these dudes' production is bananas. I mean, they songs too. You know what I'm saying? But I really zeroed in on their production. Like, yo, whoever doing the tracks is a beast.
How'd you meet Large Pro?
Through Eric B. You know what I'm saying?
Through Eric B.
I met Large Pro through my man Eric B.
And how did Eric B just knew him?
Eric, I think he did a track for them on one of Rakim's albums.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That's like his first credit.
Right. Exactly.
When he was like 16, 17 years old.
That's tight.
Yo, Large Professor ties together a lot of different things, man. Like he's the part of a lot of great history.
Yeah, Paul C and all that.
Yeah, rest in peace, Paul C. And shout out to the main source. They just had the anniversary
Yeah.
and had the show a little while ago. 25 years maybe since Breaking Atoms.
Looking at the front door.
Well, I said that to him when I saw him too. I said, Paul, you guys were 17 when you made that album. Well, how did you write Looking at the Front Door?
We fight every night.
We fight every night. Like, it's like some detailed relationship
Right.
shit that like 17-year-olds, it was crazy.
Is that like the hardest first like real relationship?
It might be the hardest relationship song of all time. It might be the hardest relationship song of all time.
Like, because he's definitely getting shit on by this girl.
Yes, and he's mad.
And he's definitely getting shit on. He's not liking it. Her friends make fun of him. Right? He's talking about an early hip hop record over a dope ass sample. Like,
says,
this is so many layers.
I wake
to
up
it.
to be greeted by an argument
Again.
again. You act like you're 10.
So immature.
He's yelling. He's having an argument on the song. You act like you're 10. That's literally just a guy and girl fighting, and it's tight. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Queens, by the way. Queens.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Queens, man.
You think
Yeah.
Queens gets its due?
I think it does. In the sense that a lot of people, everybody knows, some serious artists come from Queens, serious spitters.
That's a fact.
Yeah, everybody knows this. People all over Europe know this. People in the States know this. It's just a known thing in hip hop in general.
Was there anyone you never got to work with that you really would have liked to have made it happen?
Probably Biggie. You know what I'm saying? And probably Jay. You know what I'm saying? And,
Did you ever know Jay at all
I met Jay maybe once.
when he was coming up?
He was beyond coming up at that time.
He was already on. He was
Yeah.
already
What
on.
year? What year are we talking about?
This could be 93-ish.
Okay.
90. No. Hold on.
He was still coming up in 93. His come up was long.
Well, remember, there was
Hawaiian Sophie.
his paper, and then there was his artist paper.
Exactly. So he came up starting basically in like 88. I mean, the come up began a long time ago for Hov.
Right.
It took a minute.
Yeah, but this was after Hawaiian Sophie and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this is
this
after
after
that. This is
Reasonable Doubt?
I met him at a show we both was on with the Roots in the Lincoln Center.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And,
So then you're talking mid 90s, 96, 97, 98, maybe even later.
yeah, probably 97, 98. Yeah.
Okay, something like that.
Right, exactly.
What about Eminem? Have you met Eminem?
Never met him.
Did he shout you out at some point
Shouted me out one of the Grammys.
on the Oscars? I think it was the Oscars when he won for 8 Mile.
Was it the Oscars? I know it was the Grammys.
No,
One time.
either way, it was
Right.
one of the biggest moments in M's life. And this is why I will love Eminem. This was, as the obligatory white guy who was skeptical at first of Eminem, it was the
Well,
moment.
and it should be known for the audience and maybe those that pay attention. Rosenberg doesn't really like white rappers.
I have a tendency they have to earn their way a little harder with
He
people.
don't like white rappers.
It takes. I do. I have many that I love now. But they had to work a little harder. I admit it. And when Eminem got up there, and he's winning.
Some good white rap artists out there.
There are a lot. Now there are many. Now in 2017, I don't really think about it the same way. But in 2000,
don't you dare put on some khaki pants and come from suburbia rapping, B.
well, I do. Then I do give you a harder time. In case a minute. But hold on, let me get to the point. Eminem gets up in this moment, though. Did your phone just start blowing up because he's on stage and instead of thanking his mom and dad, he's just like Kool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane. He just goes through the list of legends that he grew up on. What was that? That must have blown your mind at the time.
It did. I didn't think I was on homie radar like that. You know what I'm saying? I liked what he was doing. I liked what I was hearing from him, but I didn't know if I was on his radar. But to get the confirmation of that was I was blown away.
Do you consider Eminem an all-time great?
Absolutely. He deserved that.
Yeah. No, he earned it. Eminem won. He's pretty good. It's gonna work out for him.
You know what? Thanks, Rosenberg. I
Yeah.
think everybody was waiting for you to say that.
You know what,
I mean?
guys? Just in. Eminem's gonna be just fine. Yo, Kool G Rap,
Kool
June
G
2nd, the
Rap,
album.
man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much,
No
sir.
doubt. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.